how AI can actually, help us in testing as well, world of testing. And about me, many of you know me. For people who don't know me, yeah, I'm Aditi. Yeah, that's as well. I'm Aditi, and you have two fancy two logos here, two business logos here. So one is Adi World, and the other one is Global. So yeah, it's been 27 years in IT. Mostly, I have specialized in quality engineering, automation, and AI. I had the opportunity to work with large global organizations, and I am in Australia for about 10 years now. So with that, I had the opportunity to take up some roles like heading down sales, agile test management, and many such successful roles. I had run the practice for large organizations. Led about 100
Um,
Then,
Aditi, sorry, it's I don't know. Your voice is not clear at times. I don't know if it's because of the mic or yeah, we're missing at
yeah,
times.
thank you for letting me know.
We try that.
Okay, I'm just changing the mic.
Yeah, this one
This
seems
one is
better.
supposed to be at the top,
No,
or
no, no. This should be at the top.
it should be at the top.
Go like this.
This should go like this, or maybe I have put it the other way down.
Okay.
No, this was the right one.
Okay.
Yeah. Let's try this one. Are you okay? Are you able to hear me
Yes,
now?
this one
Is
seems
that
to be
clear?
better. Yep.
Yeah. Okay. So I have just replaced the mic. Thank you for reminding. So yeah, so having done various sort of roles across different industries, that's what I was just mentioning. And yeah, about Addy, I want to talk about Addy and Wiz Global. So with Wiz Global, so my husband is a co-founder of Wiz Global, and I joined him a couple of years ago to lead the automation practice for Wiz Global. So when I say automation, it is intelligent automation, which includes test automation, CX automation, and RPA as well. So all these three areas, I actually, have AI solutions and services to be provided for clients. And as part of Addy, so this is a very new, business that I've started a few months ago, which is basically an AI diversity platform. So when I say AI diversity platform, I'll give you a brief introduction about how this has been born. Okay. So being a woman and having gone through 27 years of my own journey across, the IT world, I have actually faced a lot of challenges and barriers and skepticism and biases as a woman. Nothing to talk about, any bad about men, but then that's how, it's been. And I have seen the representation of women overall in tech is very less, we all know. And in AI, it is very less. It varies from 11% to 18%, which is very less, and which is which is an overall, sorry, yeah, which is a global, ratio, which shows. So I wanted to do something about it, something about women, and definitely since AI has been my passion and been my forte since so many years. So I thought I should do something clubbing these two together so that, the representation of women in AI is, is definitely to be brought into tech so that, the overall um, tech, industry will have more inclusivity. And at the same time, the different sort of challenges and concerns that has been raised regarding AI these days, that is because of lack of diversity. Because, it's been, AI has been dominated by a group of homogeneous people at this point in time. When I talk about homogeneous people, it doesn't necessarily mean just men, okay? It is probably, something, for example, if I have to take an example, like it is been dominated by a group of technical specialists, okay? So AI, when we think about AI, oh, it is a very technical term, okay? So that way we feel it is something to be left just to the technical specialists. I'm not supposed to do anything because I don't belong to IT. I don't belong to tech. No, that's not the thing. So we need people from all areas. We need SMEs, the subject matter experts, to represent in the AI world to have a very good outcome coming out of AI. Sorry, did anyone say anything? Okay, so we need a very good representation, very diverse representation, people from different background, people from different perspectives, people from different capabilities and qualifications, okay? So this is the era where we can actually make a change by having a better representation across in the AI world. And that is the reason I have clubbed these two together. One is the representation which is quite less, and the other one is AI is the future. So it's an emerging field. So let's club this together and form something which is ADI, which is AI Diversity Initiative Platform. Okay. Right. And other things which I'm involved in, I'm very passionate about mentoring. I have been doing mentoring since ages. As I just mentioned, I did mentoring with, lots of universities, including Deakin. I have done mentoring with Monash, with, Monash students as well as Melbourne Uni students as well. And I have done lots of projects with them together. So yes, passionate about sharing insights and shaping the future of AI. Okay. So sorry, it was supposed to be short, but then it went a little bit far. Okay, let's move on to the next. Okay, so why we are here is definitely we all mostly, if not all, mostly we all come from quality engineering or testing background, isn't it? Yeah. So yes, just an open question to the entire, group here. So what is testing? We all know testing. Yeah, testing is very common. So, but then I'd like to hear from you, what do you understand by testing? Just, it may be just one word or a sentence, whatever you like to. Yeah, and even people from the other side can also participate, please, contribute.
Making sure things work.
Yeah. Do we have a marker? Do we have markers so that we can use the board?
Yeah,
That's a very
there's markers.
yes, marker. Yeah. So you meant meeting the specifications, isn't it? Meeting requirements. Perfect. Awesome. What else? Identify gaps, right? Ensure quality. Perfect. What else? What else? Very good. Yeah. Absolutely. What else? Anything from the other side? People who have joined online?
Provide confidence
Okay. Yes. So,
and mitigate risk.
sorry.
Mitigate risk.
Mitigate risk.
Yeah.
Mitigate risk. Ensure confidence. Right. What else? Anybody else want to contribute? See, so we just thought anyway. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 different, ideas about testing. So what testing is all about. So testing is not just about, finding out bugs or errors. It is so much beyond that. Okay. And we all need testing, we all need testers because testing is something which is critical in every aspect, of the software development lifecycle, and even, even for non-tech, industry as well, we need testing, isn't it? Not just in a tech industry. So testing is a very critical aspect of a project development lifecycle, whether it is software project development lifecycle or it is any other product, isn't it? Okay, now let's go to the next slide. Okay, now let's stay here for a while. So I have just, listed out few points. For example, definitely it is to identify defects. It is to ensure user experience, as somebody just pointed out that, ensure confidence. Okay. So if I'm the user who is using a system, I should be happy, or I should be, quite confident in using the system, isn't it? So that's what is testing called. And even reputation. Why reputation? Because quality is directly proportionate to reputation of the organization. Okay, so if you release a software or a product which is not meeting the requirements, number one, and also if the user is not satisfied with the product, definitely the reputation of the company goes down, right? Compliance and regulation, which is also very important. Why? Because we just not check the functional requirements of the system, but we also have to check whether it is compliant related to the specific domain it is built for, or the specific group of community it is built for, specific group of users it is built for or meant for, right? So every industry will have their own compliance and regulation. Every community will have their own compliance. So, we need to check that as well. And definitely continuous improvement. It is a continuous improvement process, right? It's not that we have done testing once and then just leave it, okay? And that's the reason we have a whole life cycle of testing, starting from unit, integration, blah, 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 isn't it? And each of these phases has a definite intention. Otherwise, we would not have named it, okay? We would not have given it all these phases. They are not jargons, let me tell you, okay? So each of these phases, the whole life cycle is meant for a purpose for that particular phase, for that particular level. Yeah, any questions out there? It's just a normal discussion, just to warm up the session, okay? Cool. Next one, please. Yeah. So yeah, what is manual testing? We all know what is manual testing. So all these kind of checks that we have just talked about, what we have highlighted here, or you have seen in the slide. So it started with manual testing. When we first, started with testing in overall software development life cycle, we started with manual testing, which is basically very important because, we need human intelligence to actually, do this testing beyond just going by checking the specifications, right? So we call it like, something which is written in the specification, which is definitely to check, and something which is implied, which is what we humans do, which is part of exploratory testing, isn't it? And then we talked about, these phases of testing as well, and why these phases are important, because every phase has its own purpose, has its own importance, okay? So if we skip from one phase to the other, something which is to be done in the beginning, for example, unit testing phase, if we don't do that job properly and leave it, and we think that, okay, we can just pass some of the unit testing and go to system or integration testing, that is not right. Because if you skip that level, or if you don't do a justice to that individual level, the bugs will keep flowing from one level to the other, and ultimately it will go to the production, which is very difficult to manage, isn't it? Once it goes through the production, one is difficulty to manage, and the other is it is very expensive to manage defects, to control defects when it gets to that end level of the testing life cycle, right? Cool. Yeah. So what are the challenges that we normally see, in traditional way of testing, which is the manual way of testing? So yes, some of these points, this is not just everything, but some of the points I thought I'll highlight. Manual testing is time consuming. Definitely human make errors, so we have to live with the errors. Scalability is sometimes not possible. If scalability is required, we have to actually broaden the team. We need more manual testers, which is not probably, cost-effective solution. It doesn't help in repetitive tasks. Yeah. It high maintenance cost, of course. If you have to deploy more manual testers, it involves cost as well. Limited test coverage, and that is why we call always, get up, and talk about, risk-based testing, isn't it? Every morning, whenever you go and talk in a stand-up meeting, they say, okay, let's do risk-based testing, isn't it? RBT. So why risk-based testing? Because we can't do much as part of coverage if we are just doing it manually, right? And of course, there are limitations in reproducing issues as well if you have to do it manually. Cool. Yeah. So why automation? Again, some of those points, not everything, but some of the important points that we have to keep in mind is definitely increased efficiency and productivity, reduction in cost, consistency and accuracy, so that we have a consistent experience across. Because if we are doing it by humans, every human is different, so we have to rely on the humans way of testing the thing. Whereas through automation, we can maintain consistency and accuracy across. Okay, definitely we don't have to rely so much on race-based testing. We can give a broader test coverage, isn't it? Early bug detection, because as we highlighted about the different phases of testing, starting from unit till acceptance testing, we know that in every testing release cycle, we are being given, like we means the quality engineers are being given a very short time box, isn't it, for testing, right? And we can't do justice to that little time box that we are being given to test the product. Okay, so we need to actually introduce testing at the beginning of the cycle, very early in the cycle, which is called the shift left technology. We all know about it, right? So, but how can it be more effective? By bringing in automation from the very early stage of testing, which is starting from unit testing, isn't it? Sorry, the screen went off. Okay. Why is it flickering? Are you guys able to see the screen from the other side? Sorry.
Yeah, slides are perfect.
Okay. Cool. And then it helps in resource saving. Definitely, it helps in scalability, proper traceability and reporting. It helps in better decision making, of course, and 24/7 operations, because we can even leave the execution overnight. If we have automated, we don't need human intervention to observe the test cases getting executed, right? So we can just schedule it overnight. So, no human dependency means we can run it 24/7. Next one, sorry, because. Okay. Now, what is automation testing? Definitely, while automating a set of test cases, right, what we try to do is try to build mini programs, isn't it? We do coding to build the test cases into automation test scripts, isn't it? So it's like coding, mini coding itself. Depending on some predefined instructions or conditions which are already mentioned in the test cases, isn't it? So automation is about capturing a set of predefined rules and instructions without the ability to learn and adapt dynamically, isn't it? So you are basically automating or coding a set of instructions, predefined set of instructions and rules, and just making it execute, not just letting it to adapt and learn, isn't it? Wherein we need, again, our human involvement or human intervention to do that. Okay. Now, what is AI? Okay. So how AI comes into the picture? AI is basically meant to do the task which typically a human does. Okay. So just that I have mentioned, automation is definitely helping us to do certain activities, but still we need human intervention. But how about something we don't need human intervention? How about mimicking human intelligence as well, which is called AI, isn't it? Next one, please. This is my favorite slide. Sorry, don't think that this is out of context. I'll try to explain. Okay, let me tell you a story. Story is important, okay? So when I started about 25 years ago, 26 years ago, in a small startup company, I started as an automation tester, okay? And we were just 3 automation testers in the team. It was a very small company. I was reporting to the CEO directly because, as a startup, definitely you have access to the CEO. So that way, I don't know whether you are aware, in those days, we didn't have Google, okay? We didn't even have mobile phones when I then started. So we didn't have the opportunity to copy codes or, take help of codes. So what we were given, I started with an automation tool, which was called Rational Robo, if you have heard of, which has been taken over by IBM now. It is a wonderful tool, but we were given this thick manuals. So sitting in office, we used to go through the manuals and start building the codes. And at the same time, I used to carry back home these thick manuals just to finish my job, because I was not able to finish this while I was in office. So that was the story I wanted to mention. Why this story? Okay. So very soon after, while we were studying, and I was very passionate because, I was so much interested in learning new things at that time, and even now, everybody should be, open to learning at any stage of their career. So the automation is something which was very new, and these kind of manuals, had to be read thoroughly to actually start building the scripts. So that made my interest more stronger. And soon after, I realized that I actually enjoyed, coding. So I have built, thousands of scripts after that, automation scripts using Rational Robo. And the CEO was, so keen to sell automation solutions to his customers. So he was getting one after other customer, and he didn't know whom to manage, whom to get this done. So he gave all three of us, the full responsibility and end-to-end responsibility to handle the client. Okay, so the client, so I used to, at that, when I started very young, at that stage, I used to be the front face for the client. And my client was a US, very famous bank of US, which is Northern Trust Bank. Okay, so which was a big experience. And why I brought this slide is because, and the trust that has got built, because at that point in time, I didn't know how to handle the customers. But the trust has got built due to a reason, because we were three very bright minds. I love to call bright, but let's bring creative. We were three creative minds. We were, all three of us working as a team. Every day we used to have competition. Whose script is doing fine? Whose script is doing, better than the other. So we used to have a competition. And in that process, we went very creative together. Okay. With that creativity, what we realized is that why we were able to pass on that, confidence to the customer, to the client directly, because we were so sure what are the areas which automation would be giving benefits to the client. So instead of focusing on just building the scripts, what we initially focused on, okay, when we had this interaction, we understood what are the pain points which the client were having, and what makes sense to automate, what doesn't make sense to automate. And even today, after 26 years, even today, I have seen a lot of clients struggling with the same thing. Because, people can actually do wonders with coding. I have seen a lot of my clients, I don't want to mention the names, they had vendors who did awesome job in scripting, who did awesome job in automating. But identification of automation candidates were the major challenge. They went to a stage wherein they have built bulk of scripts, but they were not able to achieve the proper ROI because of lack of identification of right candidates for automation. So that is why this slide, which is about what are the main factors. These are some of the main factors that we should consider. One is whether it is technically feasible to actually automate the functionality that you are considering as part of automation. Frequency is another. Frequency, why? So the automation doesn't mean that you have to go and automate any manual test cases. Something which has been frequently used is definitely a strong candidate of automation, right? And then, reusability, something which can be reused across projects or across, the same software, life cycle itself. It should be definitely a target for automation. Criticality, business criticality. Of course, we should focus on the business functions which are very critical to automate. Anything which is very time consuming manually is a candidate for automation, which involves a lot of manual resources. A big manual testing team is definitely something to be replaced by automation. Complexity is higher, wherein we make lots of mistakes with humans. We leave the risk of, humans making errors. So any functions which are very complex are candidates of automation, and something which takes a lot of execution time. Okay, these are some of the 8 points I've highlighted. So once you have identified the candidates of automation, the next phase is about prioritizing the scope. Okay, so that's very important. Not that you have identified everything and then you start, capturing everything as part of automation. So you have to go a little baby step at a time. You have to start, small. Okay. So how do we start? We start with the low-hanging fruits, like, for example, something which is going to give the client a very good return on ROI, immediate ROI. Okay, and then you do the feasibility accordingly based on certain criteria, like, the business critical scenarios, the areas, some of the functional areas which are more defect prone, something which couldn't be covered because of the limitations in manual regression testing, areas which should undergo a lot of frequent changes and mostly use areas, something like that. Okay. Okay, so I will not go deep into this. So I have already talked about my journey 26 years ago, how I started with automation, wherein we didn't have any Google reference or anything. So did we know that AI existed since the 1950s? You know? Yes, most of us know. Some of us don't know. Okay, some of us don't know. So it's most of us don't know. Okay, so that's very honest. Thank you, Vikas. Even I didn't know that it existed in 1950s. So as and when I went through my own study and all, I realized that yeah, AI existed. Why are we talking about it now? AI existed since 1950s. But now we are feeling that yes, AI has to be brought into the picture so much that we cannot live without AI. So that is why we are talking about AI more than before, but AI existed since long time. So the first time it started was basically with command line interfaces, wherein you remember the black screens when you type certain commands and the system is to come back with some responses. That's AI. So AI is all about how human interact with systems, so how smartly human interact with systems, isn't it? It started with that, and then it went to GUI, where the magical thing happened. We got there's buttons, the menus, and all those things to interact with the systems on the other side. And then came the voice recognition. We all know, like Siri, we can actually ask Siri to do something, to tell us something, the Google Assistant and the Alexa. So this is what voice is, wherein we can interact with systems using voice commands. Yeah. Then came natural language processing, wherein, these chatbots and virtual assistants came into the picture. Okay. Wherein, why NLP? Because it can understand human languages, normal human languages, isn't it? Natural human language. Then came gesture, wherein the VR AR systems came into the picture, wherein the systems, the AI systems were able to recognize the gestures of humans. Okay. Then multimodal, wherein it is a more unified experience where AI systems can understand voice, gestures, touch, and visuals. Okay. And BCI is a more, emerging technology now. For example, it is mostly used in healthcare these days. If you have heard, for paralytic people who had got paralytic attacks, they can't speak. Most of the patients can't speak, right? So they actually insert a chip in the brain, so that the system can directly communicate with the brain and can read and understand from the human brain directly and show the responses on screen, right? So that is why BCI mostly been used now, but it is a tremendously emerging field. So these days people are talking about having chip on your brain, right, on your human brain directly. Yeah. So this is what the evolution is. Yeah. Okay. Now, what is AI in testing? We all have talked about automation so much, and there was a reason behind why we talked about automation. Okay. So what started with a rudimentary automation process, as I have mentioned earlier, with automation, we don't actually have, the liberty of, learning and adapting by itself, isn't it? With automation, the limitation was we were actually trying to automate a piece of code with some predefined, rules and instructions. At the same time, we were limited by not having those piece of code learning by itself or adapting by itself. That is where AI comes into the picture. Okay. Yeah, we can move. Yeah. So the three main concepts you need to know about AI is machine learning, natural language processing, and computer vision. Okay, machine learning algorithms, like for example, it helps in analyzing data and making predictions as well as decisions. It helps in decisions. NLP, which processes human language, which helps you as testers interact with the testing systems. And computer vision is basically the analyzing visual information to interact with systems and humans. Okay. Okay, so this is a little, interactive exercise that I thought I should include. So since you are from very strong background of quality engineering and testing, so can I actually understand from you, what are those areas that you can highlight in your individual projects or areas that you have implemented AI? Anything?
Visual regression testing. It's better able to decide if pixel change is actually important.
Why is it important to know? Visual testing, why is it important to know? If you can give us a simple example.
On rendering on different devices. Outcomes.
Consistency. Somebody was talking about consistency? No. Okay. So it's about consistency, maintaining consistency across different devices. So what he was, it is a very important point. Why? Because, for example, I have a website. I have built a website, okay, and it is actually doing well in the desktop. But when I open it on my mobile, it doesn't do a good job. So that means it is not consistent, okay. So AI, the AI element actually has gone to that level wherein it can do a comparison, it can do a visual check, and understand that how different it is in across different platforms and devices, and highlight those changes. Okay, very good. Where else?
Use GitHub Copilot in our organization, but I think challenge with, I mean, the example that you gave as a visual test. Do pixel comparison at the end of the day, the latest snapshot, and unless you approve, doesn't merge to main. So why we use visual testing would be like lack of design. Let's say like you want to put a button in your website. Now you can have the same button across 5 different tabs. If company lacks a common design system, developer can do a different color pixel or text format. But I mean, with the examples of GitHub Copilot or depend on words that we,
Right.
I think it's about, like, it's easy to say that AI can help us in doing a lot of things, but at the end of the day, it's about identifying whether AI is actually doing the right job. That's the main challenge.
Okay, that's a very good point. It is not about AI actually doing it. It is about how you want to use AI. Okay? Whether you want to use AI to make predictions, whether you want to use AI to make decisions, or whether you want AI to actually do dynamically in that situation. Okay.
No, I don't disagree to that, but what I'm saying here is like when I look at GitHub Copilot, like we use even the chat with the Copilot plugin, but the amount of code that is, and when we compare it against how many times a developer actually approves that code, like that is the data where you can.
So that means that's not a strong candidate of AI. Okay, so that is the reason I was talking about those slides. We will talk about it in detail. How do we implement AI? What are the areas that we can implement AI, and how do we effectively do that? We will talk about this. Let's not go deep at this point in time just because of the interest of time. But that's a very interesting point. Okay, thank you for that. Anybody else?
Yeah,
Okay.
hi. I've come across this tool called CodeSet.
Sorry, who's talking on the other side?
This is Swati.
Swati. Yes,
Yeah,
Swati.
I've recently attended one of the meetups in Sydney.
Hmm.
There was a speaker who gave a presentation about AI used in CodeSep.js. That's the automation tool. So there is a provider or a helper that is like in terms of helper, there is an AI helper that when you integrate it with AI helper, when you run the code, like the automation, like as a
Yeah.
runner, when you
Right.
the like a debugger. So when you keep a breakpoint, it
Very
runs
good.
and
Yeah.
stops there,
Yeah.
and then there is another interactive window that opens, and there if you have integrated with AI, there you can write in the normal English language saying that can you automate clicking on this button, like in a normal English. If you write it, it just generates the web element actions like click, I mean, web element dot click or dot send keys. So those kind of instructions it generates by itself.
Perfect. Perfect.
Yeah.
That's a very good example. Yeah. So, all these AI driven tools are very fantastic. There's so many AI driven tools which have come up in the market. We need to actually, understand more about these tools. And what Sweta rightly pointed is integration. Integration is very important. Something by itself, the automation tool, the test automation tool that you are using currently, make sure, as I said, bring your creative mind into the picture and try and see, how you can integrate with other AI elements as a third party, so product or a third party software to integrate along with it to give a better outcome out of it. That's very important for the human to decide, to decide for yourself what is good at that, situation, at that project situation for you. Okay. So we'll talk about some of the examples which will actually, yeah. Come on.
A lot of AI using
Hmm, hmm.
and most of us but bit of our security not really explore that much or indicate as we
Yeah. So yes, that's a very good point. That's a big concern. Security concern is a big concern, and that's why many organizations, have to make a choice whether you want to save money or you want security. Okay. So if you want to save money, definitely go for open source. But then, even with open source, also there are very good tools in the market which you can explore and see how you can even manage the security vulnerability issues as well. But at the same time, you are right, you need to understand what are those security measures, which by now, working across the project lifecycle, what are the specific security measures and what are the backup, strategies that you need to plan. If by any reason the security is actually been threatened, if you have a backup strategy in place. So that is something probably I can, we have done that so many times across our different projects. We have used a lot of open source tools, but at the same time, we know that there are some security threats. We live with that because we worked with organizations where they didn't want to spend on an enterprise market-driven tool, which was very expensive. So we had to explore using open AI tools, right? But at the same time, there were probably one or two cases I remember where there was security concern because we had been very much aware of what are the security measures, and with that measures we made sure that is included according to the the whole end-to-end scripts that we built. And in case it doesn't still work, we have some recovery scenarios or backup scenarios which should cover up with that.
Just to add, I always trade offs with big advanced
Yeah.
technology. Security is always there. I have to take that calculated. Be it even even analytics can be.
Yeah, even with this market-driven tools, what I have seen, because everything is on cloud now, so data is always threatened. Okay, because I worked with an AI tool, and then they use the same cloud space for different clients, right? So there will always be a threat for opening up one data repository to the other clients. Okay, so we had to anyway take those measures within our own implementation itself. Although we had purchased an enterprise license, they could do nothing. We could still had to invest so much in taking those security measures within our implementation process itself. Okay.
so what would be the matrix to define that okay AI to cause what matrix of
That is a very difficult question, and it is not a straightforward question. It depends on different type of situations. For example, one is client choice, as somebody was saying. Some clients don't want to use OpenAI because they are threatened by the security issues. But at the same time, there would be situations like most of the time I have dealt with clients wherein they already have a team and expertise of certain tool which they have been possessing for a long time, and they want to continue with that because they have built that confidence. Okay, so that could be one of the dependency. So it is the dependency, it is the the situation that you are in will decide what tool you are trying to use. But every other tool has its openness to adopt, learn, and to actually integrate with any other third party software. I can give you references of some of the tools, as and when we go through some of the use cases. So, but then all of these tools are very, very good, But don't expect that, AI means it will actually give you.
like example where you give that example, finding high different density. So before AI even to predict, you have to expect that the users actually tag the right values.
Absolutely. I'll come to that point. That's very important point. Data. Okay. The base data. The underlying data that is being used. That is very important. We'll talk about those. Okay. I have more slides. I have actually 38 slides. I don't know how many slides are we in. Okay. How much time we have so that, we don't make people bored. You're
Actually already over.
Okay, I'll try to pull it down to another 10-15 minutes max. Is that okay, guys? Sorry, I talk a lot. So, yeah, definitely. We will share the slides, of course. And then at any point in time, if you want to touch base with me, please feel free. I'll share my LinkedIn details and everything, so you can connect with me offline. Cool. So let's quickly scroll through some of those. I have few more slides. Okay. So one of the use case is automated test case generation. Okay, just go again. Requirement-based test case generation. Okay, wherein we use the NLP, technique. Why NLP technique? Because AI systems can now actually read through your user stories, which has been written by humans, okay, in human language, and then actually, derive the test cases automatically. Okay. I have given an example of testing. I've taken different tool names, so you can just explore, okay? The code-based test case generation, it can read the code structure, and then, go through the critical code paths and edge cases to generate test cases. It will go through the code structure, the logic, and the control flow to understand that how this can be translated into test cases. So this ensures maximum coverage, isn't it? Go further down. Data-driven, historical data-driven test cases. How this is helpful? Because you know why? So testing for systems, for legacy systems, for example, goes on for a long time. Okay, so every time you test, you come with a different scenario. Okay, so when you go to the historical data and see how the pattern has been, whether it has changed abruptly or it has changed in whatever way or anything, that gives you an analysis to understand that what are the real-time scenarios that has occurred before in the previous cycles, capture those and try to include that as part of additional test coverage on top of the requirement that you are already doing. Okay. Model-based test case. So these are basically, for example, BDD, business-driven development test, specifications. What do? We use Gherkin method, right? What is Gherkin method? Given, then, when, isn't it? So, so with given, then, when, it becomes more like a very good natural, human language kind of a thing, pseudocode kind of a thing, wherein it gives a very good understanding for AI systems to read through the given, when steps and capture the test cases automatically. Okay. Dynamic test case generation, which is like, for example, I have given eggplant and test.ai. Wherein it can, generate test cases on the fly when the users are interacting with the systems. It is actually recording and capturing and generating the test cases accordingly. What are the paths the user? What is the navigational flow the user is going? What are the different ways, a user is trying to actually use the software? That gives you a more realistic scenario, isn't it? So beyond, your requirement specifications, which has been captured in your specification document, this kind of scenarios is really helpful to give you maximum coverage, isn't it? Yeah. So this is basically test orchestration. Tosca is a very good tool for helping you in proper test orchestration, wherein it is actually capable to use the resource more in a more optimized fashion. Resources, when I say resources, based on the workload demand and the resource availability, it will actually utilize and schedule the resources accordingly, so that you don't waste, and at the same time you can use at a particular situation, depending on the workload, how much resources need to be distributed or allocated. Yes. So, one example is test runner. When you schedule, which machines it should actually run. Like for example, how many machines you have at that point in time, which you already do it, anyway. But then with AI, it helps actually to on the fly adjust the schedule, adjust the resources based on whatever is available at that point in time. Okay, self-healing test. This is basically, again, eggplant AI has that feature, wherein it will dynamically, adjust or change the test cases. How is it helpful? It is helpful in test automation, test script maintenance, right? So most of the time we see that our test scripts become obsolete. That's a limitation of automation, right? So we have to intervene. Humans have to intervene again, and then continuously maintain those scripts, keep upgrading those scripts to make it work according to the current situation. How about something which is self-healing? If it can actually understand where is the difference that is happening, and the next time it will try to adapt and execute once again.
Dynamic objects.
Dynamic, yeah. Defect prediction. So it will actually, go into the defect, Tosca, again Tosca. It will go into the historical defect data to predict areas which are more defect prone. Okay. When you go to the defect history, you will see that some of the, the functions or the modules are more defect prone because more, lots of defects have, in the past have actually occurred in specific areas. So those kind of history predictions and decisions can be taken, using AI. Visual testing, we already talked about it. Okay, so something called Apply tool, which is a very popular tool in the market these days. So it can actually give you a visual comparison across different devices or platforms. How is it looking? Is it looking identical, or is it showing differences in different devices? So that's the inconsistency it highlights. Log analysis. This is basically to identify the logs, the various type of logs that you capture. Okay. For example, when you go into the logs, you would actually be able to do an analysis with AI, whether they are bugs, actual bugs, or they are just errors, or they are warnings, or even they are just performance issues, or any of those sort, right? So that would be, an interesting feature to have. Code analysis, it will actually go directly to the source code to identify, the gap in the source code itself, whether there is any defect in building the source code itself. Test data generation. So we have already used in automation, we use synthetic data, but then when we use synthetic data, we sometimes have limitation in actually creating those synthetic data, which is more real world scenario. Okay, so AI can actually help you create more real world scenario synthetic data, right? Yeah, go down. Performance testing, it can help you in performance testing. Just go down. I have other slides. I'm just rushing through. Yeah, so it will actually help you even create the load test, the VU scripts, the virtual user scripts, isn't it? And based on actual user interactions, not just on your previously set instructions or your rules, but actual interactions will actually be captured dynamically to build the VU test cases, VU test scripts. Sorry. Right. Yeah, dynamic loading. Did we go there? Dynamic loading is basically, checking the load levels and concurrency testing at the same time based on actual interaction again. Okay. So yeah, go to the next slide. So this is about test. So all these definitely ensures that we have a better planning for release, or better release planning, and a maximum test coverage. So that's why these two slides, test coverage and release planning. So these are the two main things that we need in a software release, isn't it? That we should be doing a effective planning, release planning, and we should ensure that we do justice to the quality of the product, the quality of the system or the software, right? And how we can do that? By maximizing the coverage, and we do a better release planning, isn't it? So with automation and clubbing with AI features in automation, we can definitely ensure maximum test coverage. And that is why we don't compromise on the quality of the system. Okay. Okay. So these are the three challenges. The first one, as you highlighted, data. Okay. So all we knew when we first started with computer, garbage in, garbage out, isn't it? Right. So what does that mean? That, after all, we are talking about AI, but AI is something which is built by humans only. So if we humans make mistake in selecting the underlying data which is to be used by the AI, definitely the outcome is not something that, that would be beneficial, right? So data is very important. Like, for example, as I was talking about all these use cases of AI been coming into the picture for testing, the log data, okay? If your log data, so try and get more creative there. What are the kind of log data that you need to create, okay? So some log data gets generated by default. Some log data needs to be created by yourself. So while you try to build those scripts, make understand the system so that it can create log data according to your requirements and refer the AI tool to that data, which is more effective for you, which is more useful for you. Okay, what kind of information do you need? So the data cannot be, the underlying data cannot be, misleading. The underlying data has to be accurate. Skill gap, yes, we are all learning. We should keep on learning. We should enhance our skills. That what are the AI tools, the examples that I have given? Please try and explore those tools and see what features they have. Okay, so we need to continuously learn and enhance our skills. Ethical considerations, we have already touched upon this, but let me try to talk about it a little bit more because we are actually, talking so much about the ethical considerations of AI systems these days. And this is where, as I was talking, diversity is so important because AI systems are being built by a group of technical specialists, only by technical specialists. That is why, we are not getting a bigger outcome of AI systems. If my smartphone is also an AI system, right? This is not limited to a technical specialist. Even a layman needs to use this. Even a layman needs to use a Google Assistant or an Alexa or whatever, right? So if we don't understand how a layman would be using that system, okay, if we don't take that input from that particular community, we will not be able to do justice to this product, isn't it? Because AI systems are not limited to technical specialists. AI systems is supposed to be used by the entire population, okay, the entire demography. So we will have to have a proper, again, testing comes into the picture, okay. So we need to understand the ethical considerations. There are lots of ethical regulatory guidelines which is actually applicable to your particular system or the system that you are building. That need to be tested, that need to be ensured that it is, before launching, it is actually meeting the ethical considerations of that particular group or not. Okay.
Good point. I mean, like, even though automation testing tool is testing application, tool itself has to be tested properly.
Of course, and again, AI can test this because if you have those guidelines, so you have that base already built. So make sure your AI systems check those checklist. Okay, you will have those guidelines as a checklist. Point it to the checklist and make sure if that checklist has been met or not. Okay, compliance. Compliance checking can definitely be easily done by AI tool, isn't it? Something which is structured is very easy, and something which is unstructured, you first understand how to make it converted into a structured data, and then point it out to the AI tool. Now, if you point AI to an unstructured data, definitely it is not supposed to give you the good outcome that you are expecting. Okay, so that bit has to be done. Convert the unstructured data into a structured data. Although a lot of AI tools still can pick up from unstructured data, but you never know until you have used it. So at times we will have to put the effort of converting to that level of structure, at least the basic level of structure, if not accurate.
The inbuilt biases that have to be
Addressed. Yeah.
So that's the first
So
one.
every time these products are released, they are released with some new features which will try and address all these limitations. So as and when you use, you understand the limitations, highlight the limitation, and in the next version, those limitations are being addressed. Okay.
Just to give background, as a tester by nature, I tested ChatGPT the first time I used, gave it all sorts of scenarios. Eventually, I said,
Yeah, you were mentioning that.
Biased. I told ChatGPT your information is biased.
Yeah, sometimes ChatGPT, if I type a question and then it gives a response, the second time I type a different question, it gives me the same response. Yeah, exactly. Because the sources, again, data, what data? And data doesn't mean numbers. Data is everything. What is the repository that it is referring to? The knowledge repository.
After that, it started showing me my information to be disclaimed.
That's point, right? Like, how to identify Because I mean, at the end of the day, like even a simple question, if you go from pipeline versus AI versus, you have to identify your objectives and your success criteria.
Okay.
Same goes
Yeah,
with the
exactly.
AI.
I will.
How you train the
How you train. I'll give you an example how I use in one of my recent clients. So I work with a lot of RPA tools, okay, and I work with test automation tools as well. I have actually created so many situations wherein I integrate these two tools together. Okay, so with RPA, the tool that we use, it has an inbuilt dashboard feature, which my automation tool, test automation tool, doesn't have. Okay, so I integrated these two tools together to understand that to make this RPA tool point to my testing data to generate some dashboard from my clients, testing dashboard from my clients. And what are those dashboards? I'll give you an example. For example, whether it is in terms of the performance of the bots. Okay, bots means a set of automation scripts. Okay, software bots I'm talking about, or it is the performance issue of the system by itself. Because not many times we have argument with the client, wherein the client says, "Oh, your test script is crap. It has failed. It didn't work properly. It didn't give the proper outcome." But most of the time, we see that it is not because of the test script. It is because of the system that it was actually interacting with. There was some issue in the system. So every day in the morning and the evening, we send a dashboard saying how many of those execution runs had actually had fault with my script, and how many of those execution runs had fault with the system by itself. Isn't that good? Yeah, so that we don't raise it, we don't fight, we unnecessarily, spend so much time, arguing. So this dashboard by itself will talk. Okay, so think creative. That's why I talk about creativity. Be creative. You have to think about how do we integrate all those features together to actually make work something which is actually useful for my kind of a situation. Always think every day morning, think about the challenges that you are facing, how those challenges can be addressed. And the most important thing, some of the best practices I've highlighted, just go down. Yes, so start small, start, with pilot projects before you go big, and definitely continuous learning, as I said, just go down. Collaboration, this is where I was saying, testing is not meant to be done just by the test engineers, okay? Testing, we are doing good for the whole, organization, for the whole, project, for the whole humanity. Okay, so that way, what, it has to be a collaborative effort. Okay, so since ages we feel that it has all been blamed by a testing team that okay the product didn't go well because the testing team didn't do a good job. Okay, so why not work as a team in collaboration with the developers, with the data scientists, and data scientists play an important role in implementing AI tools. Okay, and even with the the other stakeholders, the project managers, the business analysts, everybody has to contribute for testing. It is not your job by itself, and that is why we are talking about having testing introduced early in the life cycle. Okay, isn't it? And integration. See, the last point was integration. As I said, try and see how different tools can be integrated together to give the better required outcomes that you're looking for. Okay. Okay, so this is a slide which I thought I'll highlight. These days there are so many, if you actually have started picking up knowledge in AI and testing, and you have the background in quality engineering and testing, which is very, very, critical for AI, quality engineering, as I said, everything needs testing. Even the AI tool needs testing, okay? Whether it has met the requirements of the the particular group of users it is meant to be or whatever. Okay, so testing, having quality engineering knowledge, having automation knowledge is like a big advantage. So you are already carrying an edge than other people in this world to pull yourself up into the AI world. Okay, but all these AI roles which are coming up these days will not have those fancy names. Okay, like it might not have, okay, automation test manager. It will have some very, ordinary names, but it is actually the role of a test manager in AI. Okay, so some of the roles that I have picked up, you know, like AI test engineer, or it could be something else, some other names. But mind you, AI roles are coming up these days with no fancy names. Okay, so don't expect, don't search. Hmm.
AI testing, like, what are the there's a tool or
Depends on how you want to use an AI test engineer within your organization. Because if you are an automation test engineer in one organization, you might be doing a different sort of role than the other guy who is an automation engineer in a different organization. But of course, your roles and responsibilities will be defined, whether you are responsible for developing test cases or just executing test cases or just building the reports, whatever, or end to end. Okay?
In short, what she said, everybody is afraid that the AI will take it. Not those of
Yeah.
the lab.
Of course. So you are in a better situation than anybody. So all you need to know is to pick up some skills in AI tools and the tools which you have already used, you know, like for example, Tosca, Eggplant, which you have already used. These are testing tools. What they are doing, they are implementing AI features. So try and learn those AI features. Try and learn some RPA tools, the process automation tools. You know, all we are trying to do, use AI to actually, you know, take care of some of the human tasks. Okay, and what are these tasks for us is the testing task. So that task can be automated by process automation tools, which is RPA tools. And all these RPA tools have introduced so many AI features in it, which you can use, and try and see how you can integrate those RPA tools along with your test automation tool to understand that collaboratively it can give you a better outcome. Okay, cool. I think we are done. Sorry, we took a long time. So sorry. Okay,
I'm sure it is.
but we took 9 minutes extra, isn't it? It was supposed to end at 7:30, no?
That's fine. We started
Okay.
late. We started 6:30, so 7:30 is fine. I think
It is
because
very
everything
difficult
was-
to actually cover in half an hour. He gave me half an hour, so it's very difficult. So even 1 hour is less, isn't it? So yeah, nothing can be covered in one session. But thank you so much, and thank you, you know, all the people from the other side for being with me, being patient with me. I hope I could address some of your issues, if not everything. But yes, this is my contact details, and you can reach out to me on LinkedIn as well, and would be lovely to have connected with all of you. Let's have a group picture.
Before we wrap up, I'll just would like to thank Aditi for taking time off, and just to let you know, her mom has had a serious incident yesterday, but she was still doubtful whether she can make it, but she has come all the way and gave this wonderful talk. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you,
so
Vikas.
much.
Thank you.
Means a lot to all of us, and you know, it was a wonderful talk. He walked us from Rational Robot. By the way, my love for automation started with Rational Robot as
Oh.
well. So, I mean, that's how I became from developer to tester. That's my journey, and the way you covered from the basics of testing to how each of the tools that is out there, it's addressing each of these testing, you know, areas was like unimaginable.
Thank you.
Thank you for that.
Thank you, Vikas.
And yes, and thank you all for coming in. I have a small token for you, Aditi.
Oh, I didn't expect that.
I also have a question if it's still open.
Yeah.
Sure.
Who is that, first of all?
It's Leon. Okay,
Leon.
just
Hi, Leon.
just a question in relation to testing in production, for example.
Yeah.
And when you have the pattern recognition, which is available to stop robots scrolling to the pages. So you have to recognize pattern before you can continue.
Hmm.
I just wonder if AI can actually recognize and proceed and pull the application.
Okay. So are you saying that, you know, so what is that which is in place at this moment, Leon, if I can ask?
For example, like if you go to the website and you have a pattern, so to confirm that you're not a robot, you have to recognize the pattern or shift particular element to particular place, like, you know, the puzzle, the jigsaw puzzle, in order to proceed to the site. and then you can commence the automation. So
Right.
I just wondered, because normally it has to be human who can recognize it.
Right.
If AI is smart enough to fulfill this role and continue on, so yeah.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. This is a very, a very possible use case that we can actually automate using AI feature. Because you know what is the current situation and what is the expected situation, right? So if you know what is your source and what is your target, definitely it's a very strong candidate for AI automating.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, because I was wondering, because obviously designed to actually prevent the robots scrolling through or interacting with the site is there for a reason. And I'm not sure how strong the protection it can serve. But obviously, this is the only way to bypass, because you can't do it not any other way if you're doing it in production environment.
Yeah, I wish I could actually get an opportunity to have, look into it personally, and then probably understand the limitations and see if those limitations can be addressed. But looks like it is a situation where we can definitely think about a solution to address that, why it is not allowing to, scroll through the patterns, isn't it? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. So normally, like, you go to the website, and as soon as you appear on the website, you have to solve the pattern before you can proceed.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay. Is it a limitation of the software by itself?
No. It's just a standard practice, I think, to prevent any scrollers or crawlers going through the sites.
Okay.
Or running automation, like third-party automation on the production side, and create the traffic overload side, or so on and so forth.
Okay. Do one thing, Leon. Can you write me the situation? If you connect me with LinkedIn, okay, and then I'll try and see if I can address to this issue, in specific. Leon?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you very much.
Any question, anyone? Hello? No questions? Okay, fine. With that, I would like to.
Thank you.
So, by the way, not much, but this is an official thing that we're coming with this certificate. Please.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That's awesome. Thank you. I didn't expect this.
And then a small gift for you.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Let's have a picture. That's more important, because all of you have taken the trouble of coming here. Yeah. Do I come here? Does that help?
I think coming there would be better.
Yeah, I think that way it's better.
And just one more thing before we wrap up. We have two sponsors with us. Please come here. Please. They're very much. They are the ones who are supporting this conference here with the food and everything.
Thank you for the wonderful arrangement.
Thank you. We are basically friends more than sponsors.
Yes. Thank you. And it means a lot, because they are not IT people, but then they are supporting.
Do you have your contacts or your business cards? Okay.
Yes.
Cool. Perfect.
So there are local businesses based out of Werribee. So if there's any,
and we'll try and circulate across our networks as well.
Yeah.
Not just within this group, maybe outside the group as well. Yeah. That's
okay.
Yeah. Sure.
Okay. All right then. Thank you all for joining in.
Thank you,
have a good
everyone.
night.
It was
Cheers.
lovely meeting you all.
Yes. Bye-bye.
Bye.